you've made a case for Megan or Megan, or I just find it's just tough. It's just tough to bet against Amanda. Like, you just go down her record and you look at what she's done, you look at sort of who she is, and she's just tough to pick against. She's she's at the pinnacle of the sport, and she's a good champ. She's a great champ.
Yeah, she's great. She's great partly because she's aggressive and powerful, partly because she's overwhelming. And see, Megan Anderson. So when I'm making an argument for a fighter, especially if they're a massive underdog, I have to look at everything that they've done and everything that they have the potential to do based on what I've seen, and then try and plug those things in. And I'm like, so, and obviously she's got James Krause in the corner, who's going to be going through the same process as I am in his head, but far more focused on his fighter and knowing exactly what she's capable of. I'm speculating based on what I've seen from Invicta in the UFC so far. Megan's got a good jab, and she's not too concerned about getting into a brawl off the bat. She knows she's got a reach and height advantage most of the time, and she has tailored her game to suit that. And her jab's not she's not trying to ram the jab down someone's throat. She's placing it nicely, which I think is valuable for her, because Nunes, to get inside, is going to be trying to get around that jab or over that jab. So if Megan Anderson's really committing to that overhand right
coming over,
that Nunes throws is going to catch her.
Yeah.
Whereas if Megan's moving away and jabbing, every time Nunes is coming in, she's able to line her up with the jab and start picking her with the right hand. She might be able to catch her and start moving back, in which case that head kick comes off the lead leg. When it comes to the grappling game, you've got to go Nunes all over. Anderson has shown good takedown defense up against the fence, though. And she had a great knee against Holly Holm as Holly Holm was changing levels against the fence.
That's that beautiful advantage of being that tall, is that, that knee up the middle, either in the clinch or even in the open sometimes. It's just a weapon you don't have if you're, 5'4".
Yeah. And going back to what you said about Nunes and the way she bares her teeth when she's throwing her right hand. What I was doing the other day is I was watching Nunes' fights. I was pausing them right at the point where the right hand was about to make contact. And oftentimes she's here.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Yeah.
And so her body's in this angle, in which case a knee coming up the centre.
Yeah.
She might be able to time her to that. I mean, she was unfortunate she didn't knock Holly Holm out with that knee. Megan Anderson, I'm talking about, against the fence. And Holly's a veteran. She knows how to turn fights around, against adversity, which she did. It's, everyone's going to always favour Nunes. And you'd say probably these fight 10 times and Nunes wins 9. It doesn't mean the one time that Megan Anderson wins that's not going to be this weekend, because it could quite easily be.
It's a hell of a party if she wins. It's good, yeah. I mean, it's Hardy and Ollie, isn't it? But I mention all the time, the beauty of this sport is that nothing is cut and dry. There's always opportunity. It's too complex for anything to be zeros and ones. There's always chances, and there's always angles.
And Nunes' striking, she does forego some of the technical assets of her game for the power, which does work out well for her. But there are times still when she is open, and the closer she is to Megan Anderson in this fight, the safer it is for her. Even if she finds herself up against the fence with Megan Anderson with good head position, like she's so well at getting, the judo throws from Nunes is going to be really beneficial. Any kind of body lock for a taller person.
It's going to be a nightmare, isn't it?
And the thing that always is going to work against Megan is that Nunes absolutely wrecked Felicia Spencer.
Yeah.
And Felicia Spencer choked out Megan Anderson. And there was a point where Nunes overwhelmed Felicia, caught her with an uppercut as she was shooting, sprawled on her and took her back. And at no point would you have imagined Anderson to be able to do the same thing to Felicia Spencer. I mean, I think she's interesting because physiologically she is problematic given the fact that she is tall. I mean, she is 50% legs. Like if you drew a silhouette on a wall and you drew a line across, she's like 50-50 legs.
Yeah.
And that can be a difference if she is able to flow through those combinations as Nunes is moving away.
I don't think this is the case with Amanda, but obviously it's very hard to tell from the outside. She hasn't lost since 2014. Megan Anderson is not necessarily a name. She could potentially underestimate her, and I don't get that feeling from what I've seen of her, I feel like she's the ultimate professional. And she would go
Well, I
after
spoke
this.
to her on Friday.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with Anderson, with Nunes on Friday. And she, like I said to her, what new things have you been working on? What's your training camp look like? And she was like, honestly, I've not been working on anything new. I've been working on the things that are already really good, and I'm just making them better.
Yeah.
And this was, if you remember, this was lined up for December. And the reason it says on the record,
a couple of cycles at getting ready for this.
Yeah. On the record, it says that Nunes withdrew due to an undisclosed injury, but I think it was more down to Nina Ansaroff having a really rough labour. And,
right, okay, needing to be around.
And obviously with COVID and everything, the hospital situation is difficult. So from what I understood from Amanda, like she was basically full-time parent for most of the weeks that she should have been training for that fight, which is why she withdrew. But then Nina's back in camp and looking in great shape.
Yeah.
So they're both back on that train, and she now they've turned the corner of baby being born and everything settles down.
A little bit. It's a big disruption, and it sort of settles a little bit, doesn't it?
I mean, they're both in the same industry. They're both chasing the same goals.
Yeah.
And they both love the fact that they've got their little baby at the gym with them while they're training. Nunes calls her a strawberry, and it's. I mean,
it's like your worst nightmare having kids around while you're training and camping.
I don't know. I mean, they've never been my kids, but it's like
maybe it's just my kids.
I'd imagine it'd be I'd imagine for some people it'd be a real distraction, and for other people it'd be a real boost.
Yeah, the reminder of why you're doing this is constantly in the gym with you. You're not gonna shave off 30 seconds of the last round.
No,
because your reminder is right there.
Whereas you talked to Rakic going into his last fight, and he was actually sleeping in a different building because they just had a little boy, and it was the conversation was, I need to be ready for this.
A lot of players when they have new babies is they sleep in other rooms, or you find them in a lay-by at 7 in the morning having a quick
sitting
sleep.
in the car park before conditioning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, locker in, it's tough,
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's tough to pick against Amanda, really. And,
it's the most certain fight on the card, I would say,
Yeah.
and it's still potential for an upset.
Yeah.
Still potential for an upset.